It was supposed to be Ben's last ride for the day, a routine he was all too familiar with. In the heart of Chennai, the sun had set and the city was surrendering to the quiet of the night. Ben, a young taxi driver, was wrapping up his shift, his finger hovering over the off button on his mobile app. But then, a notification beeped. A new ride request. A bit of reluctance gave way to curiosity when he saw the client was a girl. Her voice, sweet as honey over the phone, made him confirm his arrival in an instant. With a sense of anticipation, he picked her up from a lonely, dark road. As the journey began, he asked for the OTP, a standard security measure. The map projected a 2-hour drive, but Ben was unperturbed. He was expecting an enjoyable ride, a pleasant end to his day. Little did he know, the night held eerie surprises for him. As their journey began, an unsettling chill began to crawl up Ben's spine. The familiar hum of his taxi's engine was drowned out by the eerie silence that had fallen in the cab. The once comforting glow of the GPS screen now seemed like a beacon in the engulfing darkness, guiding him through a labyrinth of desolate roads. The sweet voice that had once filled the cab with warmth and life now echoed through the confined space, sounding distant and eerie. Her words, once full of charm and cheer, now seemed to carry a weight that was not their own. Ben found himself straining to decipher her sentences, which were now interspersed with cryptic remarks about the night and the secrets it held. The roads he was driving on were unfamiliar, but the GPS insisted that this was the correct route. Each turn led him deeper into the darkness, the dimly lit street lamps casting long, haunting shadows that seemed to stretch out, reaching for his cab. The world outside his windows was a monochrome panorama of empty roads and desolate landscapes, punctuated only by the occasional flickering street lamp. Inside the cab, the air grew heavy, as if charged with an unseen force. An inexplicable dread began to creep into Ben's heart, his fingers tightening around the steering wheel. His rational mind kept telling him that he was just driving a passenger on a late-night trip, but his instincts were screaming at him that something was wrong. The girl's voice filled the cab again, her words weaving an intricate tapestry of night and shadow, of secrets hidden in the dark. Her laughter echoed strangely in the confined space, like the sound of wind rustling through a desolate graveyard. Her eyes gleamed in the dim light, an otherworldly glow that seemed to hold Ben in a trance. As they ventured deeper into the night, the girl's small talk turned into cryptic remarks about the night and the shadows it concealed. Her voice, once sweet and charming, now held an eerie calmness that sent shivers down Ben's spine. The journey was far from over, and Ben couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being led into the heart of darkness. The cab ventured deeper into the darkness, and Ben's anxiety began to intensify. A symphony of unnatural sounds began to echo around them, piercing the heavy silence. Whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, creaks that sounded too close for comfort, and distant howls that felt like they were closing in. Every now and then, he stole glances at the rearview mirror, catching glimpses of unsettling figures in the back seat. The figures would appear and disappear with the flickering of the cab's interior light, playing a cruel game of hide-and-seek with his sanity. The girl, whose sweet voice had been a comforting presence at the start of their journey, had undergone a transformation. Her once charming demeanor had changed into an unsettling calmness. Her eyes, which were once full of life, now seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. The innocence in her laughter had faded, replaced by cryptic remarks about the night and the shadows it concealed. The words she spoke were like riddles, wrapped in mystery, sending chills down Ben's spine. A thought crossed Ben's mind, to stop the car, to end this eerie journey. But just as quickly as the thought came, it was quashed by an invisible force that seemed to propel him forward. It was as if he was under a spell, bound to the driver's seat, bound to the path that lay ahead. The cab continued its journey into the unknown, the darkness outside seeming to grow denser with each passing moment. Shadows danced outside the windows, taking eerie forms that seemed to watch and whisper malevolently. The cab's interior pulsed with an unnatural energy, sending shivers down Ben's spine. It was as if the cab had been swallowed by the night, consumed by the unseen horrors it concealed. With each passing moment, the girl's presence became more spectral. Her laughter turned into disconcerting whispers that echoed in the confined space. her words becoming the haunting melody of their nightmarish journey. As the cab ventured deeper into the darkness, Ben felt a cold dread settle in his heart. He was trapped in a moving tomb, hurtling towards an unseen terror. Suddenly the cab entered a dense fog, reducing visibility to almost zero. Heart pounding, Ben strained his eyes, seeking any semblance of the road ahead. The world outside his windshield had been swallowed by a spectral mist, a blank canvas of uncertainty. His hands gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white as he navigated blindly through the fog, guided only by the haunting melody of the girl's voice. Her words had become a siren's song, resonating with a chilling cadence that pierced through the cab's confined space, echoing in his mind and merging with the rhythm of his racing heart. The fog began to lift gradually, revealing an unfamiliar landscape that stretched into desolate infinity. Where once there were city lights and familiar landmarks, now there was nothing but boundless darkness, punctuated by the eerie glow of the moon. The concrete jungle of Chennai was gone, replaced by a spectral wilderness that seemed to exist outside the boundaries of reality. In the back seat, the girl had transformed into an ethereal figure, her once sweet voice now a chilling whisper, her once charming demeanor now an unsettling calmness. Her eyes, glowing with an otherworldly light, were fixed on an unseen horizon, as if she was a gatekeeper to this spectral realm. She turned towards Ben, and in a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the night, she uttered a curse, words that chilled his blood and froze his heart in its frantic rhythm. Bound you are to the shadows of the night, forever to wander in this spectral twilight. A cold dread washed over Ben, a fear far deeper than the simple fear of the unknown. It was a fear of being lost, of being trapped in an eternal nightmare, a puppet to the whims of unseen horrors. His breath hitched as he realized the enormity of his predicament. As the horrific events unfolded, the girl's laughter resonated one final time, a sound that would forever echo in the corners of his mind. It was a laughter that held no mirth, only the chilling delight of a spectral entity. And then, just as suddenly as she had appeared, she vanished into thin air, leaving Ben alone in the cab, trapped in a spectral nightmare, a prisoner of the shadows. Ben, now trapped in a spectral nightmare, struggled against the unseen forces that enveloped him. The once familiar cab had transformed into a chariot of despair, tearing through the ethereal void between dimensions. The steering wheel, once a symbol of control and direction, felt cold and lifeless in his trembling hands. Ben was a marionette, his strings pulled by invisible puppeteers from the spectral realm. His attempts to break free, to regain control, were in vain. Each turn of the wheel, each press of the pedal, was met with a chilling laughter that echoed from the back seat, a cruel reminder of his hopeless situation. The cab raced through the darkness, its headlights piercing the endless night, casting long, haunting shadows. The road ahead was unknown, unending, a labyrinth of uncertainty. Ben's desperate pleas echoed in the void, swallowed by the silence of the abyss. Ben was never found back. His last ride became his endless journey into the unknown.